What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Progress Always, where we're here to build the fittest leaders through integrity, courage, and ownership. And I have the honor and the pleasure to sit down with my girl, Rachel Gitlevich, author of What in the Actual Fuck and founder of Ray of Consciousness. What's going on, girl?
What is happening? Thanks for having me on your show. I just love the way you said my title of the book so perfectly. So thanks for having me on. Excited to dive in.
Let's start there. I mean, where did the title of the book come from?
Okay, so the subtitle of it is Life's a Hot Mess, How to Find Gratitude Anyways. So there was a moment of just I wanted to write this book, right? And I was brainstorming titles and was trying to get all deep with it. And then I was on a walk with a friend and I was telling her the stories or just things that I was going through. And we're just both like, what in the actual fuck? Like, and that just kind of stuck with me. And even throughout the journey of me writing my book, I'm like, can I actually, is that really going to stick? I was trying to get, again, put into some prompts and see if there was something else that was coming through the surface. And I'm like, this is the title of my book and that's what it's going to be. And then there's a meerkat on on the actual book cover as well. People ask me why the meerkat, and I wish I had an actual copy of the book in front of me, but I can also get into the story of the meerkat as well if we want.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
So yeah, you'll see on the title, and so if you see the ticker there, the fuck is starred out, but in the title itself, I have a little meerkat on there. And so to quickly jump into basically halfway in the book, I had brain surgery, 1 out of 3 of them. And before they could discharge me from the hospital, I had to pass a series of neurological exams. So, there's something where I had to identify, connect the dots, identify some pictures. And then one of them was, Rachel, name as many animals as you can in under a minute. So, I go through the typical cat, dog, cow, chicken, meerkat. And my best friend was in the room with me. And I roll with it. I keep going I'm like a zebra, lion, whatever. And then we finish out. And then she just looks at me and she's like, meerkat? And I'm like, I don't know. And then the guy goes, all right, name as many M words as you can in under a minute. I'm like, meerkat, mouse. I'm like, easy, I got this. So hence meerkat is now my brand. It is me. I'm a meerkat.
Nice. Your spirit animal is the meerkat. Okay. Yeah.
Meerkat. Yep.
That's awesome. Why the brain surgery?
So thanks for asking, right? The inevitable. And so
that's why I asked the question, is anything off limits, or how deep
exactly
down the rabbit hole can we go?
Yeah, we can go deep.
Let's go.
The meerkat's digging.
Yeah.
So I have a history of melanoma, skin cancer. Had my first occurrence in 2019. It was a mole on my back. They found out it was melanoma. They cut out some more around the region. I was considered cured. And then 2021, it came back in a lymph node. And basically after that also had surgery on the lymph node, took it out. After that, they're like, we can't just cut it out. We need to treat you. Went through basically 6 or 7 rounds of immunotherapy treatment before finding out I was unexpectedly pregnant. And so after that, after I found out, I obviously stopped my treatment. I had a wonderful pregnancy, gave birth to my son, and who is now almost 3 years old.
Oh, that's awesome.
He is just the absolute light of my life. And then about 2 months after he was born, 3 months after he was born, I started experiencing these really intense headaches. And basically doctors I felt a little dismissed, but basically we're saying oh, you're probably just not sleeping enough, postpartum, not a big deal, just you're fine. Essentially just take some Tylenol, call it a day. And then I kind of had this intuition saying no, think I need to talk to my oncologist about this. And again, he said kind of similarly, like, it's probably postpartum, but let's get you in for an MRI just in case. And
Mm.
so lo and behold, I have an MRI and melanoma is rearing its ugly head again in my brain. And so,
Holy shit.
yeah, crazy. Like,
Yeah.
especially navigating new motherhood, like thinking
Hmm.
that I just get to be in my little like newborn bubble and being with my son. I have to now, I'm getting rushed off into brain surgery, full on like craniotomy. And so they essentially cut out the lesion. I had a couple other little ones that they also then radiated as well, and then was back on immunotherapy treatment. So,
Mm.
yeah.
And going back to the subtitle of your book, this gratitude through line, was gratitude part of your practice, or was this ordeal through cancer what brought you to gratitude?
Well, that's a great question. I would say gratitude was something that has always been something near and dear to my heart, always something that I can lean back on and like really drive me forward. And I think the whole premise that I address in the book is that we don't have to have gratitude for everything, right?
Hmm.
We can have moments and look at life and be like, this is really hard and this really sucks. And I think it's really just about finding gratitude in some of the little things. And it was always a part of my practice, and
Hmm.
I've been in, like, the health and wellness space for as long as I can remember. Yoga's always been a part of my life. I was a personal trainer at one point and, was always just, like, really interested in making sure that I'm living my healthiest, best life, and I've had some, like, things that we get kind of taken off that path and, like, we kinda come back onto it. So
Hmm.
gratitude, I think, was like put into high gear when this all kind of came to be. And finding that gratitude for just, okay, the way that my son smiles and the little laughs that I get to see. And I feel like a lot of it was like, okay, I know that I'm in the middle of this like shitstorm, but every
Hmm.
storm passes and it's just about returning back to the light over and over again.
Yeah. Returning back to the light over and over and over again. The I love that terminology for so many reasons on so many levels. And where you say return back to the light, how we coach at next level is, you get to recommit from now.
Hmm.
You know, uh, when did that become a conscious mainstay of your gratitude practice? Because I feel like it is when you're moving through that shit storm that you describe, and however that shows up for the people listening, it's really tough to choose your way out of it. There's a very natural and human propensity to just quote unquote weather the storm or hope that this too shall pass. And what I feel like you're talking about is changing your mindset around these circumstances and taking whatever the next easiest step is to move the needle away from it and towards what you actually want and desire. Is
Right.
that anywhere close to what you're talking about?
Well, I think that's really spot on. I think, we have these moments, right, of just hardship. Everyone can relate to that struggle or whatever it might be. It doesn't even have to be of like a health condition, right? But
Mhm.
these moments of struggle, whether it's through mental health, anxiety, whatever that may be, there's a difference between, I think, what you said, there's like hope or like a knowing, like a hope
Mhm.
that this will pass or like a knowing that it will. So I think for me, returning back to the light over and over, I kept knowing that like I know I'm meant to be here. I know I have
Mhm.
a mission and I know I have a purpose and like that's never going to change, but yes, like there's going to be these times where I have to weather this storm and like just be okay with the fact that things aren't necessarily okay right now. And that
Mhm.
was, I think, the hardest part about it is that like it's hard to sometimes not get into this like victim mindset of
Mm-hmm.
why me, right?
Yeah.
It's like, I was stuck in this space of like, I do all the right things. I do like, I'm healthy. I eat well. I go for walks outside. I'm trying to do good in this world. I was already like in the like coaching and yoga space. So I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I can't understand why.
Yeah.
And so I think for me, I had to really like get out of that spiral and
Mm-hmm.
just be like, okay, well, like, what am I in control of? What can I actually like, how can I respond to this? And like maybe one day I will look at this and see why and see maybe some sort of glimmer or opportunity that this provided in my life.
Yeah. You can only connect the dots in hindsight.
Yeah, thank you.
And
Once you see the
yeah,
dots. Right.
yeah. Unless you're clairvoyant in a way, uh, you know, it's a exercise in futility to try to connect them forward.
Right.
Like anything future casting is speculation at best. And you're still judging the future on a past frame,
Right.
based on somebody else's wisdom or your own lived experience. You create an expectation out there in the future that if I do this, I'll get that, you
Mm.
know. But so, but we oftentimes discount that lived experience, or the fact that wisdom and guidance is coming from a place in the past,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
And in the best case scenario, it serves you in terms of future outcomes and helping you predict what that's going to be. Um, and still, to your point, like, I did all the right things and I still got fucking sick.
Right.
Or, and we've helped a handful of clients, like pre, through, and post cancer diagnosis, and they all seem to frame it differently. Like, some are like uh, refuse to identify as sick because in their mind's eye it's synonymous with that victim mentality. So before I put that on you, what was your frame of that period of your life?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a really great point. Like, I refused to, like, be like, I'm sick or whatever it might be. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, "No, I am strong. I am, like, showing up for my life, and I'm doing whatever I need to." I think it's, like, adopting that warrior mentality,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or in my book, I called it space camp. Um Like, I was like, "Rachel's just going to space. Rachel's going to space camp." And,
Mm-hmm.
that was, I think, like, cause yeah, like, I don't know, there was just, like, all these little things that I had to do, like getting into the whatever, like, radiation tube, and,
Mm-hmm.
like, no, this is just preparing me to go to space.
Yeah.
And so I think even just, like, little things like that where I was just, like, a little bit more lighthearted about
Yeah.
things, I think just, like, finding a little bit of, I don't know, coping mechanism, maybe, but just like finding a little bit of humor or
Yeah.
something, that would just make this otherwise really heavy, we could say unfair situation a little bit just, I guess, easier to deal with.
Yeah.
Even there was one time where I don't know, this was after the surgery, and, I asked my mom to, like, grab me some pajamas from home, and, like, I don't know, she forgot, she didn't. She was like, "No, you don't need it. You can just, like, wear the hospital gown." I'm like, I
Yeah.
know, I just don't want to, so, like, can you grab me some pajamas?"
Mm-hmm.
She didn't, and so I had some friends come and visit me, and I'm like, "I don't wanna wear this hospital gown." They're like, "Do you wanna wear" like, we made a toga out of a blanket. Like
Nice.
and, like, I wanted to, like, once I was already, like, up and walking again, I would do, like, these laps down the hall, and, I don't know, one of the nurses like, "Do you want to change?" I'm like, "What's wrong with what I'm wearing?"
Yeah.
Like I'm like
At least in this toga, my ass is covered, you know?
exactly. Exactly. I'm like, I got toga. This is like a toga party, no? Like what else are all these white blankets doing in here? Like,
Mm-hmm.
so just even these little moments that I look back on and I'm like, these were like those little like glimmers that I feel
Mm-hmm.
like I can always look at and be like, you know what? I didn't always like the situation was horrible and I wouldn't wish it upon anyone, but
Mm-hmm.
like, it's like I look back and I'm like, man, Rachel, like you're fun, you're cute, you're funny. Like, good job, girl. Like you did it.
Mm-hmm. And you're also an example to your little man
Mm,
as to what perseverance and being anti-fragile looks like. You
right.
exemplify that. You know, I love the adage that your worst day is your worst day.
Right.
You know, and if there's anything that a situation like yours puts into perspective, it's what's really important.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
know, and I'm genuinely curious based on your lived experience through cancer. Do you walk through life now like I've already experienced the worst it can get, aside from crossing over to the other side completely.
Right.
So like everything not that, I'm
No,
fucking winning,
exactly.
you
Well,
know?
it's funny that you even just mentioned that too, as I was like, there's one thing I did not mention yet was that I actually did have a near-death experience that same year of the brain surgery.
Okay.
So, I had like basically radiation, then immunotherapy. A couple weeks
Mhm.
after that,
What's
uh,
the difference for those that aren't familiar with the process? There's a difference between chemo and radiation,
right,
and
yes.
then immunotherapy. Can you kind of give us the wave tops difference
Yeah.
of those?
Yeah, absolutely. So, radiation, and it was actually what was called like stereotactic radiation
Mhm.
therapy. So sometimes they radiate the whole body. For me, you can't radiate the whole brain. Like that would fry my brain.
Yeah.
So they were very precise in terms
Mhm.
of what they radiated. And there was just like they radiated where the surgery was, and they radiated a couple other areas that were a little bit concerning, but like very tactically with like a tiny little laser that they radiated. So that was like step number two. And then um, there's a different, so then chemo and immunotherapy. So chemo is kind of this like overarching umbrella. Um,
Mhm.
and then there's like immunotherapy, which targets the like T cells and the immune system, whereas chemo
Mhm.
kind of like burns like all of the cells. So this was a little bit more targeted, still a very intense process, still something that I had to like pre-medicate for and was allergic to and like had a bunch of different side effects that came from that. And that's kind of where they like gave me a very intense and high dose of it, not knowing the how like yeah, they're kind of like it's a one size fits all. Like they're like,
Mhm.
okay, we know that like this double agent is a high dose, but like we don't know Rachel, who's like whatever I was like 31 at the time,
Mhm.
like what this young body will be able to take. And so, and I wasn't on any sort of like medication, like anti-seizure meds at the time. So,
Yeah.
um, basically they're like, I was supposed to go to Mexico in February when I actually had the brain surgery. We ended up postponing the trip to
Mhm.
after at least the first, they're like, you're safe. You can go to Mexico now. This was in April. And we got to Mexico. I kind of was like, so the immunotherapy can give you like flu-like symptoms,
Yeah.
different types of like immune response. So I start my lymph nodes got inflamed and was like starting to feel sick, but they were just like, take some Tylenol, your body's just reacting to the drug. It's fine. Um, and so then about a week and a half, 2 weeks into our like I think 3-week Mexico trip,
Mhm.
we are in Sayulita, Mexico, and I'm like pushing Julian in his little floaty in the pool. My mom and I are like kind of pushing him back and forth, and then suddenly I just like flop face down into the pool and start seizing. And my mom had to like yank me out of the pool by my ponytail, like started yelling for help. Somebody come like help. And they like dragged me, and I kind of came to. I don't remember any of this. And they're like, you need to call an ambulance. And so they get me out of my wet clothes, change. I start seizing again. Ambulance comes, they get me in, and they essentially, I like once I'm in the ambulance, I start seizing, and then they basically had to induce a coma once I was already at the hospital. And
Jesus.
so meanwhile, and so I aspirated on my lunch burrito. So they had to then fish out this burrito out of my lungs from like whatever, some like Joe Schmo or Jose, whatever, Dr. Jose from, from wherever, God knows where. He's like fishing out burrito. And he goes in once. He's like, I don't think I got it all. Goes in a second time. At this point, my lungs are really raw.
Yeah.
Punctures my lung. My left lung collapses. Yep. So.
Oh shit.
And so then like whatever. So this happens. They put me on ventilators. I'm out 3 days coma. And then after, they had no idea how I was going to come out, who I was going to be when I came out of this coma.
Yeah.
And like apparently I had like lost oxygen for a little while. Again, I'm in like God knows where, Mexico,
Yeah.
like hospital.
Did you code?
I don't think so.
Okay.
But
I feel like you would know.
yeah.
Like they would have told you.
Exactly. No, but just on the vent.
Okay.
And then I came out of it. They're like, wake up. My first, and I'm on copious amounts of drugs. I literally wake up. My first thought, I'm like, I thought I was a born again baby. Like, I'm like seeing things. Like, I'm like, what is happening? And, like everything just was like kind of like weird.
Are you like, wait a minute, I was just at the pool, what the fuck am I doing here? Like that's
Oh my God. I had no, I mean, that was like the scariest moment of my life. So once I'm like realizing I'm me and not a baby, I see my mom is sitting next to me. I turn to her and I'm like seeing these white walls. I'm like, where am I? And she starts to explain to me, she's like, Rachel, you had a seizure and like you were in a coma and like, do you remember anything? And I'm like, I remember nothing. I remember being like at the beach. I remember being at the pool.
Yeah.
That's it. And then what strikes me and then what I realize is I can't feel anything from the neck down. And I'm like,
oh,
what in the actual fuck? Like, am I paralyzed? Like,
yeah.
And I'm like, and so then finally the doctor comes in. He's like, oh, you're awake. And I'm like, am I paralyzed? And he's like, no, like you shouldn't, hopefully not. And I'm like,
a little more reassurance, bro. Like read the room.
yeah, and so thankfully I was not. Like they started giving me steroids to like help me get more sensation. I basically still though I had to relearn how to walk. Like
did they give you a nerve block or like what?
The really strong sedatives. Like very, very strong sedatives that like so that when I was out that like I was out. So yeah, I was spent about a week in the Mexico hospital, was then airlifted to the US. Did not think that the private jet experience, my first time ever, was going to be an air ambulance, but hey,
they life flighted you out of Mexico back to the States.
Yeah, because I couldn't fly. There would be no way. I couldn't walk. I couldn't.
Yeah.
Like lift me and like.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then when I got back to the States, they gave me a walker in ICU.
Your first experience on a private plane is on a gurney. Oh man. Oh man, that's wild. So how long did it take you to get back? How long did it take you to learn how to walk again?
About a week or so. So I spent about a week in Mexico, could not walk in Mexico. And then and then about a week in the hospital in the States. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like, yeah, I would say like actually even less, maybe like a few days. I still was
Sure.
going through like PT
Mm-hmm.
after I got discharged. And like, even I remember getting into my mom's car when I was discharged from the hospital, and like I still like went from like the wheelchair, and then like had to like physically like lift my legs into the car.
Yeah.
So there was like, I remember like the weakness was still there, but like,
Mm-hmm.
it was amazing to have to be able to like go from like completely like bedridden to then being able
Mm-hmm.
to at least like shuffle, then walk, then
Yeah.
like,
So
yeah.
for somebody with your background in personal training and yoga and stuff like that, you're so in tune with your body. I've had a bunch of surgeries, knees and all that good stuff. Back's a mess. But to lose it all,
Hmm.
right, for a week or two, what is it psychologically? Like, what kind of mind games are you playing with yourself, having like been at peak capacity at one point and now you have nothing? There's that moment where you're like, I don't know if I'm going to get any of this back. And then to start the relearning process, that neuromuscular connection, neuroplasticity process, uh, what's that like on your psyche?
I mean, it was wild. Wild.
Mm-hmm.
Like I will like never forget some of the things that I had to go through, and like people will read about in the book. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but like even just like being, I feel like my humanity just was like low. Like I just
Mm-hmm.
not almost just like lost the sense of like humanness with my body. But
Yeah.
like I had a fall risk alarm on my bed, in my like I was 31 years old. Like never in my life could I have thought.
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, I'll celebrate. I was celebrating the moment where they're like, "Oh, we can turn this alarm off." I'm like, "Thank you. I promise
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to roll out of here and like run off. Please give me like some sense of like dignity and humanity that like I'm not some sort of like fall risk for no.
Yeah. Right.
Like no, I'm not gonna like call life alert on my like like I've fallen, I can't get up. Like it's
I got too much pride for that shit. No.
exactly. So um yeah, like just there was this like this like strength
Hmm.
that I never thought I'd have to like tap into. This
Yeah.
I feel like not only was I doing it, I think for myself, but like
Mhm.
to be strong for my son. Um,
Yeah.
like just to like everything I thought about was like being able to hold him again, being able to carry him again. Like I'm
Mhm.
like he's at this point I think was like 15 pounds or so, and
Mhm.
I'm like I need to be able to like carry this little sack of potatoes, and
Mhm.
so, like I remember even like when I was in like the like outpatient PT, I was like, please just like make this program kind of about me being the best mom I can be to my son.
Hell yeah. Yeah. It's so funny. Like your willingness and your ability to communicate that. I feel like, as somebody who's gone through the PT process numerous times, really sets the tone for the quality of the experience that you're going to get. And I empathize with PTs on a really high level, because your willingness to and motivation via, whatever's intrinsic within Rachel and your son, uh, is so rare in people that just had a car accident, or um, are just kind of like checked out in life for the most part,
Right.
and are just going through the motions. So they don't, and that I see this a lot in the veteran community.
Mm.
I'm 41 with a knee replacement. I'm way too young for that shit. And my doc, I communicate with regularly, and he's like, dude, I need to do a white paper on your fucking knee, because like the stuff that you're doing now post-op is like, it's unheard of for
Mm.
people with a total knee replacement. And I'm like, but I told you before we went into this process that getting up and down off the toilet pain-free is not the win for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I took, so like, I don't know if he did anything special that he wouldn't have done for anybody else in the operating room, but I took that same narrative into PT. It's like, look, I want to be as aggressive with this shit as possible to create, as best as I can control anyway, the most positive outcome possible.
Possible. Yeah, absolutely.
And so I send training videos and stuff like that to my PT. She's like, can I show this to my patients so they stop bitching, like trying not to violate HIPAA or anything like that. Like, this isn't just between you and I, this is motivation for everybody else.
Yeah.
But it's rare that people are able to tap into that depth of themselves to manifest an outcome. So do you feel like that's a byproduct of like what you had already overcome in your cancer journey? Or is it like, look, I have this knowledge of what it is to be at my peak.
Right.
I want, and with that working knowledge, just getting out of the hospital or just being able to pick up my son, like that's not my ceiling. That's like the floor.
Absolutely. Like that, and you like bring up so many good points about like just like PT and like what their expectation is for the
Mm-hmm.
outcomes and like versus like what my expectation. I'm like, no, like work me out, make this difficult. Like, and they're like, no, we just want it. Like, we want to make sure that you're safe and functional. And I'm like, no, like you said, like getting off of the toilet is not a win. Like, no, I need more than that. And so that was in my mind. And I'm like, even I wasn't going back to what I was before. I'm like, no, I'm going up. I'm getting better, like even better
Mm-hmm.
than like my best self even before. Like,
Yeah.
and so after PT, I started yeah, like I've always been like the yogi, the Pilates, whatever. But then
Okay.
I got this ad for dance. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
I always wanted to do ballroom dance. I think I danced when I was a kid. And but as the ad came when I was still like in PT, like I'll revisit this. And so then after I finished up PT, I was still in like a pulmonary problem. And remember my lung, right? It has
Yeah.
lungs. So
Let's
wow,
take a little while to heal. Yeah.
oh my God, crazy.
Girl, you've been fucking through it. Oh my God.
I was in my pulmonary program. I was like the youngest one by like 40 years. And
Mm-hmm.
my besties in there were like Nancy and Sally. Like
The Golden Girls.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Like but those were my girls. Like we were
Mm-hmm.
like cheering each other on. Sally, oh bless her soul. Um,
Mm.
I started like running on the treadmills there, and she's like would come over to my treadmill and she's like, show off. And I'm like, but like that's what like kept me going, and then so
Yeah.
I started running, I started dancing, I started doing ballroom dance. And so I was just like, God, I'm not even like the baseline was not even the baseline anymore. I'm like, no, we're going beyond that. And so that's
Mm-hmm.
kind of where I am now today. Like I'm the healthiest I've ever been, and like continuing onwards. And so I actually ended up competing in a ballroom dance competition last year,
Nice.
just because I was like, let me try, let me do this.
Right.
I came in second place, like from a girl who like couldn't even walk to like
Mm-hmm.
dancing, like figuring out how to put her like remember a routine and like going out
Yeah.
on the dance floor and like doing it, crushing it. So yeah, I'll never forget that moment. It
That's
was
awesome.
amazing.
For three brain surgeries, did you experience any compromise in cognitive function?
Yeah, so I like For the most part, no.
Okay.
I have so after the first one, I didn't notice, but
Mhm.
there was a little bit of my left peripheral vision that I
Mhm.
lost before they operated, and like so I never got that back. And then about a year later, I had another brain surgery in 2024.
Okay.
They and I what happened was there was like some inflammation in my brain that then
Mhm.
like caused my right leg to seize up in the middle of the highway. That was fun. Yeah.
On the gas?
On the gas. I literally had started noticing, I'm like, "Something's not right." And,
So
yeah,
it was a slow onset.
is that something and so then, like, it went numb. My right
Oh,
leg went numb, like, fully,
yeah.
I could not lead foot, could not feel it. And so then I, like, sudden like, just, like, went into, like my mind went into high gear. I was like, "Okay, what do we do?" And
Mhm.
put on my hazards or, like, no, I turned on my right blinker, turned off, like, got onto the emergency lane and broke with my left foot. So, um
Jesus.
and I put my car in park, hazards on. I'm, like, calling my mom, like, "What do I do?" She's like, "Call 911." And then,
Yeah.
like, in the meantime, I'm, like so I call 911 and then, yeah, as, like, I started to, like, get the sensation back in my right leg, it started to, like, seize up, like, in my hands. I'm, like, talking to the dispatcher, like, "Where are you?" I'm, like, trying to, like, explain to them where I am. Meanwhile, my, like, right leg is, like, seizing and it hurts. Like, it's not just, like, shaking, it, like, is
Yeah.
well, it's like it's, excruciating, and so I'm, like, trying to tell them, like, "GPS me," like, "Fuck, fuck, fuck." And so they're like, it was just and, like, I'm trying to tell them where I am, I'm like, 90, 94, not like, 90 or 95? I'm like, 94, and just finally, like, they find me. At that point, like, I came, no like, by the time the ambulance got there, it was already over pretty much, but I was, like, still obviously shaken up. They, like,
Mhm.
bring me into whatever, ambulance.
Ambulance.
Yeah, the ambulance, right? Um, they check all my vitals, everything's normal. They're like, "We could take you to the hospital, but, like, you seem fine. Do you wanna just go home?" I'm like, I mean, you're asking me if I want to go to the hospital? Like, no, I don't.
Is
I
it
feel
safe for me to drive myself
yeah,
home? Like,
exactly, but then the sheriff came, they're like, "She seems fine to us, like, do you feel fine?" I'm like, "I guess so," and so I drove home. Nobody followed me home, like
jeez.
So, thankfully, I was safe. I made it home safely.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, thank God that
Yeah.
it's good, like, literally angels, like, have
Mhm.
angels with me at all times,
You drive
and
home with your hazards on?
I drove home regularly, just normal, drove home 15, 17, 20 minutes, whatever that was.
Oh my god.
Yeah, like, I mean, at least it was like I was close, right? 'Cause they're like,
Yeah,
"Oh, if you're
yeah.
driving to, like, Tennessee," we'd probably say, like, "Oh, get an Uber," but, like, you're
Where
7
you at?
minutes. I'm in Chicago.
Oh,
Yeah, Tennessee. I'm in Chicago.
Jesus. No shortage of traffic there, right?
Right, so
Like, are
right.
we talking about a country mile here? Are we talking about,
No,
like,
right,
stop
nope,
and
just
goes?
Chicago, was driving home from, like, a girlfriend's birthday. Um,
Man.
yeah, I mean, it was just so and, like, so crazy. So I call my doctors when I got home,
Mhm.
at whatever, that was, like, 10 o'clock at night at this point, and I'm like, "What just happened, and, like, why?" And they're like, "Oh, yeah, that inflammation in your brain that's responsible for, like, the right sensorial function in your right leg."
Mhm.
And then they're like so then they were, like, signing me up for, like, another, like, craniotomy, which is, again,
Mhm.
slicing the skull open and doing the whole thing, and I'm like and it's also this time, this is, like, in a way like, before it was on, like, surface level, the first one, this is more, like, inside the brain.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
how and this is now my right leg we're talking about, not my leg.
Mhm.
I mean, everything in the brain is responsible for something, right?
Right.
But I just my intuition told me, like, there maybe I will do this if I absolutely need to, but maybe there's another way.
Sure.
So I went academic, University of Chicago was like, hey, I met with the first doctor, was like, yes, looks like you're gonna need brain surgery. Then I met with the neurosurgeon. You're gonna need brain surgery, but there's a way we can laser ablate it. So instead of like slicing the skull open, stapling it back shut, we can actually like pierce a tiny hole and like send a laser through it and like ablate the lesion. So
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, that's way less crazy and like scary. Let's go and do that.
And
So
that's not what they were considering prior to
no,
this second opinion.
no, no.
Damn.
They wanted to take chunks out of my brain.
That's crazy.
Yeah, they had never even heard of
Yeah.
this.
I mean, this isn't a knock on medicine by any means. It's just really, it's always been amazing to me how obviously the what they would do for Rachel is not necessarily what they would do for Michael, but the default from the default in diagnosis and course of action from one doctor to the next,
Yeah.
like to be that different has always been just profoundly interesting to me.
For sure. And the fact
Yeah.
that, like, again, nothing to knock on, like, this hospital, but, like,
Hmm.
they just never heard of it.
Okay.
They're like, "We don't do this type of surgery," so,
Hmm.
like, that's why the second opinions, the third opinions, they exist. That's why we do them, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank God I was like, because I was already, like, scheduled for this second craniotomy
You
surgery.
were okay. You were
I was, like,
committed.
devastated. I was so sad. I, like, was bawling my eyes out leaving the hospital, and then I was like, "Wait, like, let's see if there's something else that we can do." And so
Hmm.
the second and third surgeries were laser ablations. So still,
Okay.
like, still hooked up to, like, 3 IVs essentially. Um,
Hmm.
still not a walk in the park, but, like,
Right.
it's like it's 1 night in the hospital versus, like, 3 plus. So and
Hmm.
even still, like, it's, like, 1 night ICU, then, like, you go home. It's not,
Got you.
I mean, the brain and the healing capacity of the brain is
Hmm.
incredible. Like, it's not like, your knee or, like,
Hmm.
some other organ in your body. Like, there's no actually, like, neural receptors. Like, there's no pain receptors in the brain. The brain just tells us when we're in pain. So,
Oh shit. Tell me
yeah.
about that.
Yeah. So,
Like I
basically,
feel I feel like I know that, but like from your experience, what is it to experience that?
well, right, that's it. Like, I felt next to no pain coming out of these surgeries. Like, I think I felt some pain, say, like, in the actual, like, I don't know,
Incision.
like, incision site, right, exactly.
Yeah.
But as far as
But no like temporal like throbbing, like
mm, nothing,
migraines and none of that.
none of that, none.
Holy shit. Wow.
Yeah. So going back to, like, even your original question, as far as,
Mhm.
like, cognitive ability and function, full
Mhm.
function of my legs, but I did lose a little bit of, like, my left peripheral, like, quite a
Yeah.
decent chunk. So basically, like, if we separate our vision into, like, quadrants, right?
Mhm.
Basically my, like, left, like, full, like, 3rd quadrant is, like, not, I don't see that. So
Got
I
it.
just kind of know that it's not there, and I
Does
account
that cat completely like irrelevant, but does that categorically make you legally blind and
mm-mm.
or anything like that?
No,
Okay.
I'm, like, fully able to drive and
Mhm.
full it thankfully, literally, like, it just, like, cuts off, like, I see full dash, I can just turn my
Yeah.
head around and, like, account for it, so, have, like, great 20/20 vision, it's just, like,
Yeah.
this little chunk of my vision is, like,
Like the picture just cuts off,
cuts
like
off a little bit.
right here.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a lot to be fucking grateful for, girl.
I know. I'm
Holy
messy
shit.
here, I'm a cat.
Yeah. I uh last week I was doing my vested walk and I happened upon this 82-year-old man, Antonio,
Mm,
who was hunched over in the middle of the street in this like heap of a child's pose. And from as I was coming up on him, I thought he was just like somebody working on their bike in the middle of the street. Like, okay, this is the spot. Oh, all right.
right.
And what it had ended up being, his walker had collapsed underneath him and he didn't have the upper body strength to get himself up and off the road. And I was like, now the Marine in me is like triaging this situation. I'm like, how long have you been here? Are you like hurt? Are there any injuries I need to know about? He thinks he was in that position. Like how I found him is how he fell. And he thinks he was in that position for like 10 minutes, which I don't live in like a secluded area. It makes me think like in 10 minutes, like a handful of people have passed by this dude for sure.
Absolutely.
And neighbor comes out, he calls 911. I pick him up by his armpits and his whole face, like just cheese grater on the asphalt, bloody elbows, the whole thing. And, you know, waiting for the paramedics, and I'm just kind of like casually interviewing him, like, who's taking care of you? Do you got kids? Whatever. And he's like, I've had, what do you say? I've had 5 strokes in my life. I've died 3 times. I don't know why he keeps bringing me back. And I was like, somewhere in there, I was like, where are you from? And he just points up. And I was like, Jesus Christ. Like,
Sure.
right.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I mean, with the history like that, yeah, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Might as well be.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember when the paramedics showed up, gave him kind of the debrief. This Antonio, he's 82 years old, blah, 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 blah. 5 seizures, died 3 times, coded 3 times, whatever that means. And they're like, well, that's a pretty thorough report. Appreciate that. You can be on your way. I was like, okay, sounds good. I was like, Antonio, hey man, take care of yourself. And he just like, just like the shittiest situation possible. He gives me a thumbs up and a wink. And I was like, oh man, okay. Like message received, universe, like I got it. Like that's gratitude right there,
Antonio, what a gem.
Holy smokes. But like that's the energy that I'm getting from the way you talk about your experience. It's like there's this tremendous what's the word? Like this halo of this radiation of gratitude that comes off of you as you talk about your experience. And it's do you think you would have this perspective without that experience? Like the to the depth of your core that it is that I'm experiencing in you now, was that present prior to all of this? Or is it just simply because it was obviously part of you prior to, is it just like exponential now?
I would 100% say like exponentialized for sure. Like it's hard to say where I would be without all of this, right? We don't know that path, right? But and like I even talk about this too, where it's like I look back on that time and I'm like, I was already like living my best life, I was already like traveling and like I was already like an entrepreneur. I was already like doing the things, right? But I think after this, I just became a lot more intentional. I think that I'm getting is like really intentional with my time, intentional with like the energy that I have, and like the people that I spend it with, and what really matters so much to me, like the most important thing. And like it's always kind of it's coming back to that presence, that gratitude, and the intentionality of the things that we do. And like just I think there's this like I wonder if before or now it's just this knowing that like our time here is like it's not guaranteed. And like I think when we're young, we think maybe we're more invincible. I know that in my 20s I definitely like I partied, I did the things, and like I think like I partied, but then I went to yoga class on a Saturday morning, right?
Oh yeah.
Like
spend the whole night chancing fate, and now you're gonna
exactly.
Now you got to find your zen.
Exactly. And like now, I mean, like I just have so much more at stake, more to live for. I'm a mom. I'm like just way more like just present with my life, like literally like little to no alcohol, like just really very much a clean eater, and just very I think when things like that happen, you can't help but just be so grateful for the time we have here. And like, I think sometimes we can get caught up in the shuffle of like finances, job,
Mhm.
whatever. Like, I think
Yeah.
so many times people get so caught up in their job, their work, making sure there's food on the table, which is important, of
Yeah.
course, but like, don't let it consume you, right?
Yeah.
I think, especially when it comes to, I think, entrepreneurship, a lot
Mhm.
of times people get lost in it, and
Mhm.
it's not a 9 to 5. And you have to remember, why you started it in the first place.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Do you find, like, how often through all of that did you find yourself questioning, like, why me,
Mm. I
if
think,
at all?
yeah, I mean, it's what I think about sometimes. And like, I had this conversation with one of my best friends, and it was this like push and pull of like praying to a God you're mad at, right?
Oh. Mm. I need to sit with that for a second. Fuck. Okay, continue.
Right? Like,
Mm.
yeah, like, I don't know, like, what, like, you believe, audience, whatever.
Mhm.
But, like, I'm a believer in God. I'm a
Mhm.
believer in, like, a higher power, right? And
Yeah.
I believe that everything happens for a reason, and everything that happens is what's meant to be, right? So I'm,
Mhm.
like, sitting here, like, praying and hoping, and, like, but there's this knowing that everything's gonna be okay, but also I'm, like, "I'm so fucking mad at you."
Yeah. Oh, man. What a fucking paradox, yeah?
Right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, I'm like, "Oh, like, why
That's
though?" Yeah.
yeah. I think that's what I wanna title this episode, is "Praying to a God You're Mad At." I was gonna use the title of your book, but that sounds more profound. Um, so what now, in the aftermath of all of that, when you find yourself doing what we do, being human,
Mm.
right? And you're moving through the friction that life throws at you. What is it? Is there a mantra? Is there a practice? Like, what does Rachel do to bring herself back into alignment, back to
Mhm.
center?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, I mean, meditation for me has always been, like, such a, like, grounding force. And
Mhm.
breath work is like, for me, it doesn't have to be like a 60-minute like breath work session. It's just like taking a few minutes out of my day to just like breathe, or
Mhm.
like taking a few minutes to like go outside. I mean, I go outside every single day if I can, if it's nice out,
Yeah.
but I think for me it's always like trying to do my best. I mean, even as a mom, right? Like, I need a calm nervous system, or like a nice like reset nervous system. So I
Mhm.
think practice like meditation and mindfulness, and um really like taking time for myself, that's like not looking at my screen, not looking at my computer, but like
Mhm.
these little tiny micro moments for just Rachel
Yeah.
is, I feel like, what keeps me rooted, and
Mhm.
what keeps me home to myself. I think that's like what I always kind of talk about, is like, when things happen, like, mental health, illness, we tend to disassociate and like
Mhm.
get into the spider state, um, which that serves us in those moments, right? But it's this like coming back home, and like
Mhm.
that interconnection, that like our body is safe, and like it's
Yeah.
safe to like actually hear and connect with ourselves, is really what I think keeps me, I think, whole and human, and
Yeah.
keeps me here.
Yeah. Man, Rachel, thank you so much. There's just so much wisdom in the telling of your story and the way that you've handled all of life's adversity. Where can uh, our audience find you, your book, connect with you, uh, you know, hire you? Where are you available for all to reach out?
Yeah, so find me on LinkedIn, Rachel Gitlevich. Thankfully, I don't have a super common name. I'm sure, Michael, you can relate. But yeah, on LinkedIn, Rachel Gitlevich. My Instagram is rachel.gitlevich. And find my book on Amazon, Barnes & Noble. What in the actual fuck? Just don't spell out the word, just FCK. Life's a hot mess. How to find gratitude anyways.
Oh, that's beautiful. Really appreciate you, girl. For everybody out there listening, if you want to be the fittest leader possible, remember it starts with integrity, courage, and ownership. And if you want support in that endeavor of becoming the highest and best version of yourself, head over to nextlevelvillage.com, join our tribe, and let us help you make that happen. Remember, alignment first, progress always. We'll see you next time.